Hello, this is Yo Sensei. In today's tutorial, we will explore Twinmotion's newest feature, Lumen. Lumen is a real-time rendering function that was introduced in Unreal Engine 5, which is now available for Twinmotion. The rendering quality is very high, and the time it takes is a lot shorter than Path Tracer. There are many small parameters that you can adjust to get high-quality rendering results. Okay, let's get started. So today we are going to start with Twinmotion. The version of Twinmotion that I have is 2023.2.2 Okay, so the first thing that you will do is to go to Import tab at the bottom, and then import a dp02 retail_space.u datasmith file, which is linked in the description of this video. And the setting, you need to have keep hierarchy, and other than that, default is fine. So we get this kind of file, and first you can take out the starting base objects, and today we are only rendering interior, so we are not going to build any side context. So this is kind of a space that has a facade and kind of a retail space type of object. So the first thing that you're going to do is to start assigning materials. So you can go into glass and clear glass for the windows. And today we would like to use some high quality materials from Megascans. So you can go into library, Megascans, and then find surfaces, and then wood, and parquet gives you a lot of nice, wood type of thing. So you can download the files when you have this downward arrow by signing into Epic Games, and then you are able to download some of the files. I have some of the materials that are pre-downloaded here. This one's not that great, so you can. Right now, the scale of the tile is a little bit off, so you need to go into this UV settings, change it to cubic UVs, and then just drag and drop this again. Yeah, so this one is okay. It is basketball court floor. Fine. And then we're going to rotate this at 90 degrees so that it's running towards this direction. We can also apply this material to the beams, I guess. So you can go ahead and drag and drop this object into beams. So the beams are the same material. Very nice. Maybe this is a little bit too small, so we can just adjust the scale a little bit. So that's pretty good. And for this metal type of thing, I'm going to go into Megascans, surfaces, metal, bare. Brushed aluminum is pretty good, so I'm going to apply brushed aluminum onto this surface. So this object has this aluminum object here, and then on the right side, and here too. And then here for this base, well, I can just use the same material for now. So now we have these metallic materials that are here. I'm going to change the material color slightly here, so that I'm going to get the slightly darker, and then a little bit of blue tint that goes into this. And so that's good. So when the material is single-sided, and then when you apply the material into this kind of like single-sided surface, you need to change this material setting to double-sided. So you can go all the way down to the materials miscellaneous section, and then change it to two-sided. Okay. So that's pretty good. And then for the window frame, I'm going to also apply another aluminum, and then make it really dark. So it's more like a black metal type of finish. Okay, so this this surface for this kind of handrail section, we can go into the board and then find some kind of wood that is, doesn't have the grain. So we are going to do wooden fiber board. So that's pretty good. And then you can just change the scale and then add grunge so that it's going to kind of create uneven type of materiality. So that's good. And then for the outside, we are going to do the concrete material from Megascans. So concrete slab and then find something that is nice. So I'm going to use concrete cast in situation concrete, cast in situ, drop here, and that's quite nice. And then we can just reduce the scale of it so that's going to look like real concrete. This one is made out of concrete, and then I don't really intend to do that, so let's apply the wall material. So for the wall materials, you can go into plaster and then painted, and then the third one, the fresh wall plaster, is actually a good wall surface. So if you kind of like go close to it, it has this kind of like very subtle wall texture. And in this case, I would like to remove this hint of blue, so you can go into the detail setting, and then I guess you can just change it to default, and then that's going to make it into white. Okay, so that is white wall. So also we would like to apply this white wall into the ceiling, but right now this layer is associated with the concrete. So what you can do is change the material application setting to apply to object from this single surface, and then just drag and drop. So that is that. So now we have this kind of like LED lighting type of situation. So in this case, this time we would like to create a new material. So you can go into the material tab, create standard, and then you can rename to light. And then for this one, you can go down to emissive setting, and then add a little bit of glow, and then you can drag and drop this to replace material, and then drag and drop this to this area, and then also to the light in the back. And now you can just change this one to slight, the emissive color to slight, a little bit of a yellow tint, and then you can now have this here. And then let's try to see if this one reads like a emissive material. So that's good. Okay, so on the outside, what we can do is we can just apply regular ground material of nature, and then just apply dirt into it, and then you can build some trees, and then I would like to do a apricot tree, sweet orange tree that has a fruits. That's nice. So now we can hold shift and drag this to here, and then instance is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 instances, and then it's going to copy into the right place. So that's good. Okay, so now we have the basic materials applied to it. Also, let's use item glass for this tabletop. So go into materials, glass, and item glass for the tabletop. So when you have like objects, this glass material is good. Okay, now we are going to set up the view, and by going to the media and then set up your first view. Okay, so this is going to render at the 16:9 scale right now. So that is something like this. So inside of the ambient setting of the image, first thing that you're going to do is go into the camera setting, and then I think 18mm is a pretty good lens. I would like to change the focal length to like 17 millimeter. So 17 millimeter is, probably the lowest number that you should be using. So now I can just click on the update button. So that is our update. So the next thing that we would like to do inside of the camera setting is camera effect and then turn on parallelism. And this is going to align all of the vertical lines to be great. Okay, so the next step is to go into the environmental settings. And then first, what you need to do is turn off auto exposure. And so the exposure is always, fixed. And then we are going to, use skylight to compensate that. So now you can go all the way down to HDRI environment, enable it, and then you can just use backdrop HDRI option. And then go into the library, and then HDRI environment, you can select outdoor. And inside of that outdoor, yellow field is a pretty good lighting setting, so you can just use it, or you can try using something else. So when I dropped yellow field, it's very dark. So what you need to do is go back to exposure and then adjust the exposure. So in this case, I'm looking at the exposure number, something like 7 or 8. Okay. Right. So that's good. And then go back to the HDRI and then change the intensity of HDRI to 10. And then rotate this image, and then you're gonna have to control the exposure a little bit, and then try to get the rotation of the image until you get that really nice light coming into the space from the window. So in this way, we have really nice light coming in from outside, casting really nice shadows. And then you can also then adjust your exposure a little bit. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so the other settings that we can adjust inside of an environment is that you can go into the exposure and highlight reduction to be all the way up, and then shadow boost to be all the way up. So we are not really using the sun from the image, so it doesn't really. You can control the ambience, and then white balance is how yellow or warm or cold you want this to be. Okay, so that would be the settings on the environment settings, and then now we're gonna go into Lumen rendering setting, and then you can change to Lumen, and that's going to kind of like recalculate the lighting. So I think we should have higher exposure number in this case. So I think you're gonna need something like 9 or something. So this one, it's flickering, but it's not going to keep flickering when you're rendering. So that's fine. So inside of the Lumen setting, you can change the scene detail to all the way up, view distance to be all the way up, lighting update speed you don't have to change. And then Lumen reflection settings, you can just boost everything to like all the way up. And then shadow for 400 meters fine. And then shadow bias, I would like to change it to 0.2. Okay. So that would be the setting on the Lumen side. So another thing that we can do is to go into camera setting, and then vignette is where you can kind of like create kind of this darker ring around the edge, and then that will give you focus onto the main area. So I would like to do a little bit of it. Okay, so yeah, I think this one looks good. So I'm going to render this and then check if this one works. So you can just set it up and then render it. Okay, So rendering is finished, and we will take a look at this file. So we will take a look, and then what you need to do is take a look at this image and then make some notes. So the lighting is a little bit too white and then too bright, and we need to fix that. I think the light shadow condition in this area is very flat, so I think we want to add some spotlight and then point lights in the dark area, and we don't have too much lights coming in from the skylight, so I'm going to area light to get the light to come in from the outside. So that's what we are going to do. So the lighting objects here are a little bit reading too bright. So the material that we made on this, so this light material you can select by material picker, and then luminosity to be it's not luminosity, it's emissive, and I think going down to like something like 50 is probably a good number. So that is that. And then for each space, we would like to add spotlights on it. So you can create lights, spotlights, and hold shift to copy as instance. And then if you press the G key on your keyboard, this icon will appear. And then to add to selection, you have to select Control click to add the selection. And I'm going to just copy as instance of 6. And so it's copying there. It's slightly off, and you should be doing it in a more proper way, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to just do it in a very, very rough manner so that we can just move on. Okay, so we can go back to our image. So we have the spotlights, and then so since spotlights are created by the instance, you can just change the setting on 1, and then it's going to reflect on everything else. The one that I really wanted to get is shadow is enabled, so you have a lot more complex and sophisticated shadow of this, and then it's a little bit too bright, so I'm going to change it to like 50 or 35. Yeah, so that's okay. And then for the globe lights, I'm going to just do a omnidirectional light here, not on the wall. Just move it near this one, and then I am just going to hold shift and then copy as instance 5 or 6 times, and this one can the lights in this area, so I'm going to copy twice, and so then go back to the view, and the second floor is very bright, so we will take the omni light and then lower intensity like 35. Okay, and then also get it to cast shadows. Okay, so this area needs a little bit more serious lighting, so I would like to put a couple of spotlights in this area, and then these ones can cast shadows of this area, and then maybe biased a little bit towards this so that it won't cast too many shadows. Okay, that's quite nice. And yeah, also maybe having an omnidirectional light inside of this. Okay, And this Omni light should also cast shadow, but not too much. So yeah, well, let's turn it off for now. So this Omni light should also have shadows and the lighting. So that's pretty nice, the way the light is coming. And then also, I would like to use area light to come in from the top view, like this. And then if you kind of orient the Omni light to pretty much where you want, where the natural light is coming in, so you can just, I think the light was coming in on this kind of direction, and then we can make this one a little bit bigger, length, width, and light comes in, and then it's going to cast shadows, and yeah. So let's take a look. And so now we are going to turn off this area light and then on this area light. So intensity of the area light can be stronger, and attenuation is okay. Attenuation is the length of how much it's going to shoot this for. So yeah, definitely our area light is casting beautiful lights into the space. So that's nice. Okay, so I think it's getting better. So let's try to render again. Okay, so now it's rendered. I'm gonna go in, and yeah, it's looking very nice. We have a beautiful kind of light and shadow. Maybe we would like to have the light hitting this one a little bit more. This one's really nice. Inside light is doing. Maybe it's a little bit overexposed, so I'm going to slide down the exposure number a little bit lower. But I think it's getting really close. So let's go back, and then I think these lights, spotlights here. Oops. Control click to select both. Okay, and then intensity a little bit higher, and attenuation should also be higher too. Okay, cool. So now this part is brighter, and then we go back to exposure a little bit, and then bring it down. Okay, now I think we can put on scale figures. So I think the biggest mistake that people make, you can just delete existing scale figure. The biggest mistake that people make when you're putting on scale figure is that you put too many of them or no scale figure. Scale figure is about for you to understand the scale of the space. So what we can do is we can have this mom and child, and we can kind of like put them in the back. So mom is trying to sell how awesome this product is to this child. So that's good. So this is kind of like far enough that you don't really have to, be caught up too much. So the second scale figure I would like to put is on the second level. So what it means is that it does indicate that this second floor space is occupiable space. So you can just place this person in the second level. So you can do it this way. So another new feature of Twinmotion's 2023-22 is that you can actually preview this media while being in the other view. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move this person so that she's going to be inside of the camera frame. So she's here, and then she's kind of, looking towards that way. And so now we can just, go back to this. And this time we will adjust the camera angle a little bit so that we will capture that lady in the second. At this point, you can really use slow camera movement by pressing different numbers. So that is that. And I'm going to render this again. So this is a new image. Yes, we are getting better. Okay, so from this note, I think the person on the second floor is fine. People here are great. And then maybe these aluminum pieces can be slightly darker. Overall exposure can be slightly low. And that would be our next correction. And I don't actually like this surface, so let's try to find something. So let me go back, and this material color is too purple-ish. Yeah, this can be a little bit darker. Okay, and overall exposure can be lower slightly. So what do you see here, and what is going to be rendered is slightly different. So make sure to always double check on both sides. And so this material is not that great. So let's try to change it to Megascan, and then surfaces, metal, roll it. This corroded metal is kind of nice. I think what I'm going to do is I take this, but I'm going to kind of make the object to be very, very even. So kind of reduce the saturation, and then, adjust this area so that it doesn't get too, yeah. But if you reduce the gain of the material, it's going to kind of show the less of material. So that's good. Okay, so that's, but I want this to be a little bit brighter. So yeah, so that's pretty good. And then the rest of it is that when you look at any Twinmotion videos, they will tell you to change this number, which is roughness. So reflective materials are good because it will receive a lot of input from your object. So going into these objects and then reducing the number for the roughness is going to give you more reflective value. So I'd recommend you to reduce roughness. Yeah. And then maybe this color, we can just a little bit more. Okay, so let's try rendering this one. Okay, now we check. Yes, it is getting better. I don't really like how we are looking at this person's face. So we will change material settings are nice, and then this thing is looking great. I would change more of a reflective values of these. So sample and then find roughness and then reduce that roughness so that it will receive more light. Roughness. Change roughness value to low. Even the concrete, you can just change the roughness value so that it's going to receive more. Okay, and now we are going to change the angle of the scale here. It's kind of unnatural that she's looking up at me, but okay, that's good enough. All right, so now we are going to render this. Yes, I think it's looking very nice. So what we are going to do, the last step is for you to make sure to ambience image, and then always make sure to render as 4K UHD or higher. And then that's going to, incredibly improve the quality of your render, which will take time. So you kind of don't want to mess with it when you're still setting up, but when you're final, you can just render at 4K resolution. Okay, so this is our final render. Now, what we are going to do is to compare where we started. So this was our first version, which was not too bad, but it had some issues. Second edition, third, fourth, fifth, and final edition of it. So I think the key to rendering is for you to set it up and then keep improving and then outputting and then editing and then iterating over and over, so that until you get the right quality for the render. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I am looking forward for you to use this technique in your project and then have a really nice output of spatial renders. Thank you for watching, and then I will see you in the next video. Bye.